Grab your Zippo lighter, Wargamers, because today we are going to Marlborough Country. 2mm mass battles for the Wars of the Spanish Succession. Say that 3 times fast. From Irregular Miniatures, the same guys that provide the figures. Taking a look at our rosters to start the game. Well, first let's talk about terrain. We've got woods that can be entered, but cannot be fired through. We've got a pond, which can be fired through, but cannot be entered. The entire square is impassable. We'll call the rest of this base marshy ground that you wouldn't want to march through, let alone ride a big heavy horse. And the yellow are roads. On the near side, you've got British in the red. They'll be rolling the red dice. You've got a light cavalry. We're going to call those hussars. 4 units of heavy cavalry. Those are dragoons. We've got 2 brigadiers or generals. 2 units of foot. And they start the game in line. 3 across and 2 deep. 1 unit of heavy foot. 3 across. I think they're supposed to be 3 across and 2 deep, but I don't have enough figures, so we're going to call it a half battalion if we must. And 1, 2, 3 units of cannons. On the opposite side, you've got 1 unit of hussars, 3 units of cuirassiers, 2 leaders, 3 units of infantry who march about in 2 across, 3 deep, 1 unit of heavy infantry, which marches around 1 column, 3 deep, and then you've got 3 cannons. So the only real difference between these 2 sides is that the British have an extra heavy cavalry, and the Austrians have swapped that out for a regular infantry. Don't worry about the difference between this skirmisher base and likewise over here, this skirmisher base and the rest of the infantry. It's not... The representation is a little bit off because I have obviously based these on bases 1 inch, which the rules don't call for, but I did it and I regret nothing. So to start the game, we need to set up, and setup is a little unusual in this game. We're going to roll the dice. Yellow will always be the Austrians, red will always be the British, so the Austrians have to set up first. And they're going to have to set up evens, odds, starting on one side of the table or the other. It's odd, he's got to set up 1 unit over here. Given that wide open space, I think it only makes sense to go ahead and start with our hussars over there. Now the Brits have to pick 1 unit and set up as well, but their unit has to set up starting on this side of the table. And I think we'll go ahead and give them 8 total inches to get started, and we're going to go ahead and set up one of these cannons. What did I say, 8 inches? There we go. We're going to set the cannon up right about there. Now how far to put it becomes an issue because as you go, you have to work your way across the table. If we want to do a heavy cavalry on the Austrians' left, we'll go something like that. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Well, so now, since he's going heavy on the cavalry over there, I think the British are going to go ahead and let's put an infantry there. They are committed. So we'll just kind of bop back and forth and we'll throw the heavy infantry here. And you can see one of the aspects of this game is that the British with their lines are going to fill up table space a lot faster than their opponents. Let's not get too clever here. We'll go ahead and put a infantry like so. And then let's match them with another infantry like so. Move these guys out of the... Yeah, we're looking good here. And then we'll go a little flexible cavalry in the center. And now we can start putting some cavalry down there. Tree. And do we want to put our cannons back here, or do we want to lock them over there? I don't know. I think we'll go ahead and keep our cavalry together or something like that. Maybe we'll bring these guys back here as kind of an onboard reserve. Yeah, I like that idea. Throw our heavy infantry in there. And we'll put another forward cavalry. Wow, we're over to the side already, aren't we? We'll follow up with these guys and treat them as a bit of a reserve on that side. And then we can go cannon. These guys can come up a full 8 inches as well, right? So we'll go cannon. We still haven't used our... I think we can do it like that. That's these are the hussars. And then it's going to go 1, 1, and right across. These, wait, am I missing? I feel like, nope, okay. Nothing's missing. So then we have to place our brigadiers, and I probably should have put these on with the unit that they're attached to. Well, let's treat the brigadiers. We'll go ahead and say this brigadier is going to be with the, I don't know, just, I guess we're stuck. This general is late to the party. We'll have to bring him on in the first turn. And this brigadier is going to start back over here. And this one will also come on in the first turn. So, already learning. So from the looks of things, Austrians have gone with a strong center, the British have gone with a strong left, and we're already seeing some ebb and flow and some interesting possibilities open up, and you're already seeing that this is a mass battle style game. No skirmish. The Brits have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, they have 11 maneuver units. On the opposite side, same thing, 11 maneuver units. I'm going to have to do a video about kind of the practical limits of decision making. But you can see how in just a small compact space, by the way, these are 32 by about 24 inches, this battle map. I think it's 30 by 24, so the game calls for 2 by 2 or 3 feet across, but you know, it's going to work out just fine. Now we need to figure out who's going to go first, and we'll just do a simple d6. So the British go first, and now we have to figure out which side of the table do we start on? I'm sorry. Evens, odds. Evens. So we're going to start over here. This cannon has to do a thing. They can move, change formation. Well, there really isn't one. They can fire their guns. However, there's nothing there. Movie contact. It looks like they can actually, looks like they can move. Oh, whoa, 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 okay. So you only need to reference the first page. That's one of the nice things about this rule set. All of the artillery that we're working with today is, the artillery starts unlimbered, and it costs a half a move to limber or unlimber. So the first thing we're going to do with our heavy artillery is move them 2 inches. Now, if I want to move 1 inch and then unlimber, I can do that. But we're going to move them 2 inches. And then, actually, the British, everybody moves. Infantry move, since they are in line, they only move 2 inches. So these guys all move up here, and whoops, facing the wrong way. So they move up. And I guess these first turns are going to go pretty quick because there's not going to be a lot of counter maneuvering going on. The heavy horses, those are hussars. Wait, I take it back. They're dragoons. So horses can move in column 6 inches. Do I want to do that? Do I want to race up and hit them? We're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to bring these guys up, and we're going to bring them up in 2 separate. We'll see if we can disrupt their lines. They will. All right, now you can pass through, but you have to make a test to do that. I don't want to do that yet. We'll go ahead and bring these guys up to there, so they didn't move. I'm fine with that. Now these guys want to move, and unfortunately, interestingly enough, I don't know why I was worried about the roads. That being the case, let's go ahead and move our... Oh dear, I got this backwards already, didn't I? They can only move 5 inches. So cuirassier, I gotta remember, means heavy boys. And hussars means they move, since they're in column, d6 plus 4 inches. So that's kind of fun. These guys can move a total of 8 inches, and we'll wheel them about. Wait a minute, how do we do that? We're gonna bring him up 8. We'll bring him up to follow, and then these guys can move 2 inches, and the British artillery. So now the British then we've got this general can move 6 inches, so he's going to move across to here. And we've got one last general. I don't know what the deal is with bringing guys on. There's no rules for that, so we're just going to bring him up to there. And that's it for the Brits. Now we got to go over and handle things. Since the Brits did this way, the Austrians are going to go the other way. And these are going to move, this light infantry is going to move 9 inches. So we're going to wheel him to 1 and bring him up to there. These heavy cavalry, rather, they're in column, so they can move, and we're calling them cuirassiers, so we're moving them 5 to there. These guys are going to move 5 to there. Now we see where we have a problem. What are these guys going to do? Same thing, but they can only move. So we're going to let them get in there and mix it up. Pretty narrow front over here for these boys. Might be an issue. How far can infantry move? They're in columns, so they can move 4. We're going to bring them up to suit. And we're just going to leave these guys there so that we can bring this infantry up. And our guards / grenadiers also move 4 inches. So they'll come up, and we're going to leave them in reserve. We'll bring this leader up 6 inches to here, so we can move to contact next time, and we'll leave all of our batteries where they're at, and we'll bring this leader over to contact that. And that's it for the first turn. Now player A rolls the dice, evens and odds. And now he's going to start on this side. So we'll move these cannons, will move 1 inch. Actually, he's just going to rotate and he's going to limber. He's going to move 1 inch and he's going to, he did that backwards, but you get the idea. He sets up, and then this leader is going to, he's going to join this unit. That's his move. They move D6 plus 4 inches, so 9 inches they're going to charge. Okay, so they are within charge range of that light cavalry. So move to contact. This is their choice. They have to be in line. Oh, in line formation? Okay. Well, that's good to know. So I guess we're going to have change formation. So I guess they're not going to do that. Well, you can either move or change formation. Well, that's interesting. So we'll have them change formation. We'll bring the... Ooh, do we change formation now? There isn't enough room to change formation, but if we move them up... Okay, I'm seeing how this game operates now. Tactically, it's very different from what I expected. All right. Well, what are we gonna do? You're all choked up here, aren't you? Oh, here we go. We can change like that and bring him up. That's that general. We'll go ahead and change formation here. Well, we're gonna bring them up to there. These guys change formation, you change formation, and now our infantry headed this way are going to move there 2 inches. Conveniently enough, I've got 1 inch bases. He moves to support. Heavy infantry in line. So I'm not sure why they wanted me to start these guys 3 by 2. I might need to, and then, so they've already limbered. Oh, I forgot to start over there. If these guys wanted to fire, they are out of range, so it doesn't really matter. We're going to go ahead and set up a gun duel over here. They're already set up. They are not. They're moving to attack, so they'll move their 2 inches forward. And that's it for the British. Then we start here. They're just going to hang tight. They'll hang tight. He's going to say, he's going to move over to there. And they're all ready to fire now. So this is my next unit moving this way. As you can see, this is my next unit. What the heck am I supposed to do with him? Move? I'm really... Alright, well, let's do this. Since he's next, we're going to bring him up as close as we can get him to say there. Then, since they're still in column, they can move 4 inches. And I want them to hit the center of the line, so I'm going to bring him straight up. They can move 4 inches as well, and that's exactly what we're going to do. 4 inches, 4, 4, 4. He's going to come up to support this column. We'll wheel this infantry and bring them up to there. cavalry can move 5 inches. So we'll go ahead and bring them up. And then they're going to change formation, and let's change formation here too. That's it for the turn. Comes back over to the Brits. The Brits are going to roll a d6, evens and odds, same as always. So now let's open fire. 8 inches out of range. 8 inches out of range. So they don't want to have anything. Now we've got these guys. They can charge. Let's see how far. Move to contact. 10 inches. So these light cavalry engages that light cavalry. If he wishes to move another unit, so if I wanted to, I could declare that I'm moving him into contact in support, but he's going to be a little bit stuck by the corner of the pond, so he can't. So, wrapping your unit is not allowed. Closing your test for fire. Cavalry do not. And I think that's it. The opponent tests. So here you go. So he moves to contact. The opponent tests for CP loss. And what that means is he's got to roll a d6 for his cohesion points. And on a 1 or a 2, he loses. If he's hit by, if the defender is in column, he's not. The enemy contacts the flank or the rear. +1 if you're all right. So let's. It doesn't matter. So they lose 1 CP because they rolled a 2. None of the modifiers matter, so that means test for CP. CP loss means he falls back facing the attacker for 2 inches. So he has to fall back 2 inches. Facing the attacker, which puts him contacting these guys, which is a bit of an issue, and he lost a CP. So we're going to stick a little wound marker under him. We'll use yellow for Austrians and red for Brits. I can't figure out what happens there, so we're just going to stop him right there. So he's obstructing that unit, if nothing else. The attackers have the choice of following up. They are going to refuse to do that. They're happy with where they are. That brings us up to this unit, who is going to have to rotate, and because it is heavy, they can only move, and it's in line now, they can only move 3 inches. So we'll call it 1 inch to rotate, and they can move 2 inches forward. And that puts them right there. They can't really move because they're in the way, and we're going to move them. They're in line now, so they can move 5 inches, which means they can move to contact this unit. Move to contact once again. Units attempting to close with another unit must be in a line formation, which they are. And then closing units must test for any fire. So they're shooting at, so the Austrian infantry is shooting at them. And on a 5, they don't do anything. I don't think, let's see. If the enemy unit, if your unit is in contact with enemies, if it's British horse moving into contact with your unit, you get a -1. So they actually wound up with a result of a 4. Still, no difference. If you succeed in closing, the opponent tests for CP loss. So now he has to roll to see if he loses any CP. And if he... So let's see. Modifiers. If British horse move into contact with your unit, which they did, there's a -1. So this 3 becomes a 2, and they lose a CP. Not only that, but he has to fall back 2 inches. And this time, I think we are going to follow up. So, once again, because these guys are 1 inch, I can just flip them like that. And everything's okay, that's fine. And this time, this heavy horse is going to follow up. So they've driven them back, and they're now, call them shaken, if you will. But if I recall correctly, they can't move because we're working our way across. In line, this infantry can only move 2 inches. And they're going to just head on forward and challenge. They're pretty bold boys. They're going to challenge this guards unit. And everybody moves forward 3 inches. Like so. We'll see what happens. He's going to move up. I can't remember what he did. I need a marker that shows whether he's limbered or not, don't I? He's still moving. Because he's got to get close enough. So full move. He is, and you know what we'll do? We're going to say if you are unlimbered, we'll put a little blue. So he cannot shoot until he spends an inch of movement to set up. Which means he can shoot, and he finds that he is just out of range. That's 8 inches. He's also going to be out of range. He is also going to be out of range, so they're just going to wait for these guys to hit him. This guy's next. Formation change. We'll bring these guys up 2 inches. Something like that. And maybe formation change next time around. We'll go ahead and... Ooh. So do we want this infantry to move ahead? Infantry change? Or should they attack this guy? They can't do both. They're in a bad way. We're going to move them forward 2 inches. Although I think one of my biggest issues here is that I'm still not entirely clear what the difference is between, is that really line? Or does that count as column for them? Or is the problem that I'm dealing with too few units? Would I need to have 2 battalions, let's call them, of British in order to put them in column? And then I could spread them out into line like so. That may be the issue that I'm facing here. I may have way too many units on the board to where this, if these strips were seated individually, this game would work a lot better because you would be able to say, okay, I've got these 6 guys would be a battalion, and these 6 guys, and these 6 guys, and now I can put them in line or I can spread them out, whereas I don't really have that option because I just don't have enough bases. They are in contact. So what happens when you're in contact? If you're in contact, the defender has to test for that unit with the same results. And so now well, who's the defender though? This round's defender, so he has to, he backs off. That's what happens. He loses a CP and he backs off 2 inches. And why not follow up? So after recovering from the shock of impact, they managed to do a point of cohesion damage to them. Then we got to do these guys next, don't we? We're going to move them through here to there. Then we'll bring them up to impact. And we're rolling for the Brits to see what they do. They maintain. And then we'll... there's no way to get these guys up. And they don't move very far. So we've got a real bottleneck and a traffic jam. But again... I just don't think I have enough bases to play this game the way nature and Rob Levisconte intended. Or maybe this is the difficulty that generals of the day faced. It's hard to bring maximum firepower. Maybe I need another foot on either side of this table so I have enough room to maneuver. Well, let's see what happens if we try to bring these guys to contact over here. It's going to cost 2 inches to wheel, 3, and then another 2 inches to wheel like so. So I don't even think they have enough movement. But if they did, now you've got your flank attack. And that changes things. Because in contact, units are in contact. Move to contact, because now when the British Hussars roll their d6, they are hit. Well, they're not. Enemy units count. Right, now it's a 1, 2, 3. So there's a -1 for being hit in the flank. And a -1 because you're in 2 opposing forces, so that's a second point of cohesion damage. And if you lose that once you make contact, you put on a test for loss. If you pass, he stays in contact. He means he falls back facing the attacker for 2 inches. Which attacker? Oh, and that's his second CP, so when you lose your second cohesion point, you have to withdraw. Form 2 block wide formation with a slight kink in it away, and move 5 inches away. So we're going to measure this off because this is where the cascade failure takes effect. These guys move 5 inches and you put a little kink in it, see? They've got their two blamage, and now they have to withdraw. They're going to move 5 inches, which is going to put them right here. But because they're passing in front of that guy, they must, or within 1 block of it, well, that's them, they have to test for CP loss, which they get. So because they were hit hard by an incoherent unit, they lose a point as well. I'm going to move them through just to make it easy, but that's an issue. Even with the general, the +1. So things are starting to fall apart over on this flank. And that is it. Back to the Brits. Evens, odds. Evens, fantastic. They're going to move up that last inch and unlimber, and now they can start shooting, but not this turn. 2 inches. Everybody moves 2 inches up. Yep. Except these guys are 5 inches away, so they're going to move to contact. They take fire, and if they are there are no modifiers to that roll, so they do make contact. Once you make contact, now the Austrians have to test, and unfortunately, because they have a -1 to their roll because they're getting hit by cavalry. So nothing happens. Then we've got this cavalry is going to move to there. Why would they do that? No, they're going to wait right there. That cavalry does its attack, and that's a loss of a second CP. So these guys turn around. And move 2 inches, and we'll go ahead and follow up. So we turn into a bit of a DBA game, a bit of a shoving match here. Who else do we have? These guys are. Do they withdraw forever? It says it ignores all obstacles. An enemy unit may attempt to close. Must make its way. Yeah, they continue moving. They continue withdrawing. So they move an additional 5 inches. And then on the next turn, these guys will be worth 1 point to them. But you have to keep moving them each turn to see who they impact and see what that cascade failure looks like. With them moved, these guys can move forward. And they can hit these guys now in the flank. Interesting. And I don't know if they wanted to do that or not. Maybe they don't. Let's not. Let's let these guys have some fun. He's going to shoot at him just because I want to see what happens. We're not going to play this whole game out. We've been at this a long time already. And as I said, I don't think that my bases are appropriate for this game. But I want to see what happens with the artillery. Has a range of +1 if hit by a heavy. So this artillery fires, he's going to support. Now I could make a shot, but they get a -1 to the roll because they're getting shot by 2 different people. And I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. So a 1 means they receive a point of damage. And then it's their turn. And if they move the 5 inches, they're going to stop there. They're going to get shredded. But there are a lot of guys coming. So if we were to move up and bring these guys over, there is a chance that they may be able to get enough horsies into the area to do some damage, but that'll have to wait for another day. Hopefully this has given you enough idea of how this game works that you can decide if you've got enough figures. If you really want to try this with the actual army packs, you may have a lot more success and the game may be a lot more interesting for you. It's also one of those games that looks like that is far more sophisticated than it looks at first glance. In a lot of cases, you look at a set of rules that's just 3 pages long and think, well, how complicated can it be? The answer is pretty darn complicated. This is the kind of game that you can't just whip through in an hour. You really need to sit down and think about what you're doing. And let's be honest, I didn't really do that here today. As I said, I don't have a whole lot of experience with this genre of wargaming, and it was a valuable experience for me because I won't make this same mistake twice. Next time, I'll find a whole bunch of new mistakes to make. That said, this is a great illustration of something I've been thinking about for a while, and I'm going to leave this set up, and I am going to use this kind of failed battle to illustrate something important about miniature wargaming and the limits of miniature wargaming. Until next time, remember, Viva Cristo Rey, and I am praying for you.